Hello everyone, my name is Zhenghao. I'm a PhD student at the Technische University Darmstadt. I'm very appreciative to all of you involved in such a fantastic conference to make it happen and give me this opportunity to talk about my package hPF-MD.jl, which aims to bring an efficient molecular dynamics simulation method to Julia scientific computing community. At the very beginning, I would like to talk a little bit about the MD simulation technique. As the famous physicist Richard Feynman said in 1950s, it is that all things are made of atoms, and that everything that living things do can be understood in terms of jigglings and wigglings of atoms. Indeed, in MD simulations, the positions or trajectories of atoms are sampled over the time. At the same time, statistical mechanics is frequently employed to calculate properties of a bunch of atoms from the modeled system. Generally, the MD simulation is becoming an increasingly important research tool on the molecular scale, empowered by drastically increasing of the computing power. These are two examples showing the valuable role of MD simulation in the research and development. The modern material design, such as high-performance polymeric material, is essentially a multi-scale design problem, as you see in the left bottom figure. The molecular dynamics simulation is an irreplaceable bridge to link the electronic behavior of atoms to the macroscopic behavior of the material. Another example is related to the COVID-19. In order to understand the microstructure of virus and develop the vaccination, the MD simulation plays an important role, such as for accurately finding the relevant active spike and membrane proteins. As you see in this figure, the MD simulation even allows researchers to dynamically track every atom of the spike protein and the cell membrane in the virus. Now let's have a look at the basic components of the MD simulation. Firstly, we need some interaction energy functions to describe the interactions between atoms. A set of these functions is also called force field in the field of molecular dynamics simulation. As you see in this expression, commonly the total interactions of the system include two parts. One is the bond interaction to connect atoms within the molecule, such as the covalent bond, and the other one is the non-bonding interactions between atoms, such as the van der Waals interactions or electrostatic interactions. Once we have the interaction energies, we can now calculate the force using the derivative of the interaction energy respective to the atom position. Then, according to the Newton's second law, we can obtain the acceleration for the target atom. To dynamically evolve the system, we need to integrate the equation of motion using the algorithm such as flirt, as shown in the following expression. The position at the next time step is calculated using the positions at current time step, previous time step, and the accelerations obtained in previous step. Now, by iterating all these steps, we can obtain the particle trajectories over the entire simulation time. Unless massively parallel architectures are available, common MD simulations are still limited to systems with sizes not larger than tens of nanometers with short sampling time. It calls for more efficient simulation models to enable modeling at large spatial temporal scales. Now let me quickly walk you through the basic theory underlying the hPF method. Generally, the Hamiltonian of the whole system can be decomposed into two parts. One is the intramolecular bounded interactions, and the other one is the intermolecular non-bounded interactions. In this hybrid particle field model, the bounded interactions are calculated through exactly the same way as the common particle-particle MD simulation. However, the non-bounded interactions is completely different between these two methods. For example, in the particle-particle MD simulation, the non-bounded interactions are calculated in a pairwise fashion, which means All pair distances around this target particle need to be looped over and summed up to obtain the total force. With certain advanced technique, the best computation efficiency can be proportional to the total number of atoms times the logarithm of this number. In contrast, in the particle field model, we do not need to loop over all pair distances. Instead, the many-body interaction is decoupled into interaction between the target particle with an external density-dependent potential field. In this way, the computation efficiency is just proportional to the total number of particles in the system. Therefore, simulation at the spatial-temporal scale, which is difficult to attain for common MD simulations, are now allowed since particle field representation hugely decreases computation expense. There is actually existing package for hPF-MD simulations called OCAM written in Fortran. Thus, why do we need rewrite a new package? There are several reasons I can think about, but these three are the most serious ones in my opinion. Firstly, Fortran is an old language even though it was originally created for scientific computing. There is actually few modern third-party packages for scientific computing, especially for machine learning in the current Fortran community. The OCaml code implements its own formats to read input and output data. Consequently, it is a bit difficult to utilize the analysis or other third-party tools popular in the MD simulation community. Thirdly, it is also a bit complicated to read the original OCaml code, and thus extension to more functionalities becomes slowed down. In contrast, Julia is easy to use since it is a dynamic language, which means we can execute it without compilation. Julia is also a high-level language, which means it has complex functions implemented natively. Moreover, Julia is also fast, accelerated by techniques such as multiple dispatch, type inference, and just-in-time compilation. Additionally, Julia has a large scientific computing and modeling community. Now let's take a look at an example simulation run by hPF-MD.jl to model self-assembly of diploid copolymers. In this system, we create 220-bit polymer chains. Here is the single chain structure. The blue and red bits represent two different types of polymer monomers. These monomers are connected by harmonic bonds with parameters shown below. The non-bounded interactions are computed through the density functional field with two type bits having strong repulsive interactions. Here are the input scripts for this hPF simulation of diploid copolymers. Specifically, we first need to define the system, such as the input file name, initial velocity, and so on. Then we need to define the force field to describe the simulation models. The detailed documents can be found on our GitHub page. Due to the time limit, let me conclude today's talk. I introduced a hPF-MD simulation package purely written in Julia. As you see here, these are the force fields and the thermostats supported in the current version. We believe that our package is a promising platform for development and test novel efficient MD algorithms. In the following work, we will support more force fields and try to optimize the code according to the performance tips. We also want to make our code differentiable using flex.jl to integrate the power of machine learning techniques to the framework of hPF-MD simulations. Finally, I would like to thank the support from my advisor and my group members. I also want to thank the funding agencies and the support from the Julia conference.